Time is 10 o'clock. Here is the national news. First, the top stories. Ogun votes 9 billion naira for payment of pensions and gratuities in 2017. Ogun government engages 558 new staff into its service. President Buhari presents 2017 7.2 trillion naira budget to National Assembly. Sharif PDP proposes fresh talks with McCarthy faction to end leadership crisis. Good morning, I am Agimerio Oaikhenan, bringing you the news in detail shortly. And now the news in detail. Ogun State government says it is finalizing arrangements to begin the payment of gratuities to its retired civil servants in the state. Over 6 billion naira is set aside in the proposed 2017 budget for the payment of pension and 2 billion naira for the gratuities of retired civil servants. Head of Ogun State Civil Service, Elder Olushola Adeyemi, made this known in Abeokuta while defending the 2017 budget of his department before the State House of Assembly's Finance and Appropriation Committee. Adeyemi also announced the decision to upgrade the holders of the Higher National Diploma H&D in the civil service who have acquired additional qualification to rise to the salary grade level 17 like their counterparts who have university degrees. Head of service, however, says the decision was taken at the last meeting of the 2016 meeting of the National Council of Establishment. Adeyemi explains that the state government is awaiting a circular from the presidency to implement the decision. Ogun State government is to establish the Alternative Dispute Resolution Center to resolve legal matters and attract investors to the state. Justice Commissioner Dr. Olumide Ayeni made this known while defending the 350 million naira capital vote of his ministry in the state's 2017 budget before the Finance and Appropriation Committee of the Ogun State House of Assembly. The commissioner explains that 100 million naira is voted for the proposed center in the 2017 budget. Ayeni also says the proposed center is part of the 114 million naira special project to be executed next year. Ogun State government has employed 558 new staff into its ministries, departments, and agencies. The 558 staff are among the 3,500 candidates who wrote the January 2016 Public Service Entry Examination conducted by the Administrative Staff College of Nigeria, ASCON, Toponie, Badagry. The examination was conducted for candidates into the senior cadre of the civil service, namely agriculture officers, information officers, administrative officers, education officers, among others. The list of successful candidates was posted on the notice board of the Ogun State Civil Service Commission at Okemoson, Abeokuta. The permanent secretary in the State Civil Service Commission, Mrs. Ajibola Choko, in a release asked the new staff to collect their letter of appointment at the commission's office. They are expected to resume duties next year. 4 major electronic showrooms owned by Olujimi Emmanuel Electronics will be dedicated and commissioned in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, on Saturday. The electronic showrooms located at Ewang Estate Phase 2 and Totoro areas of Abeokuta metropolis will provide top electronic brand for residents of Abeokuta and environ. The company, in a release by media consultancy firm Omobabatisa Media Network, the showrooms at Totoro will be commissioned by 10 a.m. and those at Ewang Estate by 12 noon. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Kunle Oluomo, will commission the showrooms while their dedication will be presided over by Venerable Jeremiah Okunlola. Activities lined up ahead of the commissioning of the showrooms include a roadshow on Friday. President Muhammadu Buhari has presented the proposed 2017 appropriation bill to a joint session of the National Assembly. The budget estimate totaling 7.29 trillion naira is higher than the outgoing 6.07 trillion naira 2016 budget. Christened the budget of recovery and growth, Buhari says the capital vote is allocated 2.243 trillion naira, while the recurrent expenditure is given 2.9 trillion naira. The proposed budget is based on the production of 2.2 million barrels of crude oil daily and a benchmark price of $42.05 for a barrel of crude oil. Also, the naira in the proposed budget is projected to exchange at 350 naira to a dollar. Buhari promises that spending next year will focus on infrastructure development, especially road, rail, and electricity. Buhari says emphasis will be put on the patronage of made in Nigeria goods next year.
We will increasingly grow and process our own food. We will manufacture what we can and refine our own petroleum products. We will buy made in Nigeria. We will encourage garment manufacturing and Nigerian designers, tailors, and fashion retailers. We will patronize local entrepreneurs. We will promote the manufacturing powerhouses in Aba, Calabar, Kaduna, Kano, Lagos, Niue, Onitsha, and Otta.
Some of the captive votes include the judiciary allocated 100 billion naira, health 51.1 billion naira, industry 81 billion naira, defense 140 billion naira, Niger Delta Affairs Ministry 33 billion naira, and Niger Delta Development Commission 61 billion naira. Other major captive votes are water resources, which receives 55 billion naira, social investment program 150 billion naira, interior ministry 63 billion naira, education 50 billion naira, and 92 billion naira for the universal basic education. Speaking after Buhari's presentation, Speaker of the House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara stressed the need to give more time for the implementation of the captive vote in the outgoing 2016 budget.
The problem is that most often the recurrent component of the budget is implemented to an appreciable level, but the capital component execution is very low. It is crystal clear that the capital component of the 2016 budget cannot realistically be implemented for only 6 months period, considering the time required for procurement processes, the raising of the revenue, including loans by government. Except something is done, this will result in yet another failed budget.
West African Examination Council (WAEC) says it has finalized arrangements to conduct the General Certificate of Education (GC) examination twice a year. The examination for private candidates at present holds in November-December, while the examination body's registrar, Dr. Iyi Uwadiye, says the examination will hold twice, as from 2017 in January-February and August-September. Uwadiye, who spoke on the sideline of the WAEC Registrar Staff Appraisal Conference in Accra, Ghana, says the new arrangement does not affect the major West African Examination Certificate WAEC for students. Sharif PDP faction has invited the rival McCarthy PDP caretaker faction for a fresh negotiation to end the party's prolonged leadership crisis. The faction national chairman Ali Madu Sharif, however, says the McCarthy faction must reciprocate the gesture. If the proposed talks turns out right, Ali Madu Sharif says that a national convention of the two PDP factions will hold in the first quarter of 2017. Otherwise, the faction will look up to the appeal and Supreme Court to have the final say on the leadership crisis. Ali Madu Sharif, who spoke on the issue in Abuja while receiving officials of PDP faction in the Federal Capital Territory, recalled that in the past negotiations, he suggested the dissolution of the McCarthy Caretaker Committee and its National Working Committee. He explains that the dissolution of the McCarthy Committee will pave the way for the setting up of an independent national leadership. You're still listening to the national news from Rockcity 101.9 FM. Up next, we bring you business and sport news. Please stay with us. And now in business. National Petroleum Development Company lost 1.5 trillion naira this year to attacks by militants on its facilities in the Niger Delta region. Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), Dr. Maikanti Baru, made this known in Abuja at the opening of the NNPC Security Awareness Week. Baru says that NPDC recorded 59 security incidents which reduced its oil production by 50% and affected its gas supply to power plants in the country. The attacks, according to NNPC GMD, were carried out by militants on the company's pipeline and flow stations, as well as stealing of crude oil and refined products. Finally, sport news. Super Falcon players have extended their protest from Agora Hotel to the National Assembly and the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The players who began their protest over the failure of the Nigeria Football Federation (NFF) to pay their bonuses and allowances for beating Cameroon to win the African Women Cup for 8th time. Each of the players is being owed $23,000. They agreed to return to the hotel after the Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Yari, addressed them on behalf of President Buhari, who was away to the National Assembly for the presentation of the 2017 budget. The Chief of Staff promised the players that the bonuses and allowances will be cleared latest by Friday. That was the national news, and just before we go, the major stories once again. Ogun voted 9 billion naira for payment of pensions and gratuities in 2017. Ogun government engaged 558 new staff into its service. President Buhari presented 2017 7.2 trillion naira budget to National Assembly. It also reported was Sharif PDP proposed fresh talks with McCarthy faction to end leadership crisis. For more stories and to listen to us live, please log on to our website www.rockcityfmradio.com/live. Thank you so much for listening. I am Agimerio Oaikhenan. Good morning.